Well, I'm heading over to yet another model railroad here in Southern California. This is the Slim Gauge Guild in Pasadena, and we're visiting as part of the Narrow Gauge Convention. I understand they have one heck of a nice railroad, or actually two really nice railroads. They have an HO railroad, an HON3, and an SN3 railroad as well, all kind of intertwined in the same space, but not directly overlapping, which would look really silly to mix scales that way. No, that would be icky and not fun at all. But I understand this is actually very well done, very, very well done, and well worth the trip over there to check that out.
The Slim Gauge Guild is in a basement of all things. You don't find a lot of basements in California, but they're in a basement in Pasadena, and they've dressed it up to look like an old mine shaft. Well, if you're going to be in a basement, deal with it. It's a really cool model railroad club, been around for quite some time. The Slim Gauge Guild has two railroads down in this basement, an SN3 and this one, which is an HON3 with some standard gauge as well. They're really, really well done railroads, and the cool thing is, as they sort of meander around in the mountains down here, there's no place that you can stand where you can actually see both the SN3 and HON3 models at the same time. That visual separation really does wonders, because if you saw the two together, well, they'd look sort of silly. Most of the products made for SN3 are really, really, really craftsman and high-tech, and rather expensive too, but they're just really, really nice. But here in the HO section, things look pretty darn good too. A lot of these little engines are built by Blackstone models. They're just really, really wonderful, and they run really, really nice. The whole HO part of this railroad looks super, super good. They had a good open house as part of the Narrow Gauge Convention. Now this part of the railroad here is their standard gauge HO interchange. With HO, it's possible to model great big engines like this big articulated crawling through the yard here, and then you can interchange with your narrow gauge trains. That's pretty cool. But what the Slim Gauge Guild is all about is narrow gauge, like this 3-foot gauge HO wandering through here. Narrow gauge is just, well, it's just fun. I personally get a much bigger kick out of narrow gauge than standard gauge. They had a lot of people come over to their open house from the Narrow Gauge Convention, in part because, well, it's a really great railroad and it has a great reputation, but it wasn't hurting anything that it was also just a few blocks from the convention center. There's a lot of really cool things going on in Pasadena, and no, if you go over to Colorado Boulevard, you will not find the little old lady cruising there. You will, however, find the original Whistle Stop, one of the really great hobby shops. Now, you might also be tempted to say, oh, gee, and that's where the Pasadena Model Railroad Club is, one of the largest clubs in the world. Not really. They're just called Pasadena. Now, this is the SN3 part of the railroad. Just like the HON3 part, it's really, really, really well done. You just don't see anything done cheaply in SN3. Look at the quality of these beautiful brass locomotives and these wonderful, wonderful freight cars. A lot of people have sort of gravitated away from SN3 just because of the cost of the thing. But everybody would agree that it's just fabulous, fabulous stuff. And the scale is just robust enough to really, really have size and weight without being so large that it's difficult to fit into a given space. A lot of this stuff is made by a company called PBL, and you can find them on the web.
Well, that's the Slim Gauge Guild. What a fun little model railroad group. There's a lot of model railroad clubs around the country, and because there's so darn many people in Southern California, there are a lot of really cool model railroad clubs in Southern California. And the Slim Gauge Guild certainly qualifies as one of those. What a fun setting, what a good group of guys, and what a great deal of fun knocking around they have on their little railroad down there and building it. Well, look for more movies on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can find the movies on Vimeo as well. And you can find me on Facebook, and you can like me on Facebook. Not sure how you found me on the internet, but I hope you didn't find me boring. And I'll see you here again in a week.